Hi folks, I'm Doc and welcome to the Artificers Guild, the home of all things Artifact. Today I wanted to let you guys know how you can play Artifact for free, shooting down some of the bad rumours hanging around the place, and even dabbling into how you might get your card collection for free. Quickly before I get into the meat of the video here, yes, Artifact isn't technically free to play, because it has an upfront cost of $20, but really the issue here we are addressing is the continued play costs, and how it can be free to play as soon as you've got the game. Of course, if you're one of the lucky buggers that landed a beta key, then you already have the game, and unless you bought it on eBay for 10,000 rubles, you will actually be able to play entirely for free. But even if you do have to spend $20, that's basically nothing. In the UK that's about 16 quid, and most modern AAA releases are going for 60 or more these days, which is absolutely ridiculous, so paying less than a third of that is perfectly fine. Many of those £60 games also have microtransactions anyway, so the comparison stands out even if you do look at buying cards in Artifact. So, with that aside, how can you continue playing Artifact for free? When the NDA dropped, all you could find were articles criticising Valve for their greed, as it seemed everything was behind a paywall. Well, that strictly isn't the case. Even on day one of the beta, there were plenty of options as a free player. The casual constructed game mode, which you'll basically find in every competitive online game ever, was still there. You could build a deck and go and match up against any player right there. Not to mention all the social options, like being able to hone that deck against your friends in free private matches over and over. On top of that, we also had the free featured event. This let you pit pre-constructed decks using some of the game's best and rarest cards against one another to see how long a win streak you could develop. This event is currently called Call to Arms, and for a long time it was my favourite game mode after the NDA drop. We covered this in our previous video, so go check that out if you haven't dived into the Call to Arms event yet. So if we have all of these free modes, why was there an outrage? Well, there were a couple of things the community as a whole disliked. The most common was that Valve had not given us the option to play Draft for free. In the closed beta, the Draft Gauntlet was free for us to play, but a frequent issue was players who would constantly restart their draft to make sure they had a deck that was just super powerful. This overall made drafting much less fun, and I personally ended up playing a lot more constructed instead. So when Artifact was released to the public, for this reason, among others, free draft was not available. That way, if a player wanted to keep refreshing their draft until they got an overpowered one, it would cost them one ticket every time. Valve even went as far as to tell us that other features were to be coming soon, so as to not have people take what they could see as the be-all and end-all. But naturally people judged the book by its cover, and caused an uproar about this game mode being locked behind a paywall. The other main reason people were upset was over the fact that when opening card packs, which cost $2 each, you could open a common hero such as Ogre Magi or Lycan, who you get in the base set anyway, meaning they would be utterly worthless on the Steam marketplace. Noticing these issues, and to appease the rightfully upset masses, Valve pushed an update to save the game from what seemed to be a catastrophe. A free draft mode was added, with a 30-minute cooldown on starting a new free draft gauntlet. You need to play at least 2 games to be forced out of the gauntlet anyway, so 30 minutes is just there to stop the redrafters. Draft was also added to tournaments, and as a direct result we've already seen loads of community draft tournaments being hosted over on Twitch, which is absolutely fantastic. People are already building the communities Valve was looking to replicate with the game. The final big change was to create ticket scrapping systems, where duplicate cards that you do not want nor need can be exchanged for a ticket at 20-to-1 ratio. Considering a pack is $2 and a ticket is $1, and in said pack you're guaranteed a rare and 3 uncommons, I think that's a very, very fair exchange rate. So now every game mode can be played for free, forever, and you can even recycle worthless cards. And that is all well and good for the casual player. They can infinitely play draft, or they can try building decks from their 250 plus cards they get with the game. But what about the people that want a more competitive experience? They have to use at least one ticket just to queue up for a gauntlet, and tickets cost $1 or 20 cards to attain. Well, this is where the idea of going infinite comes into play. In an expert gauntlet, you pay your entry cost, and then you have this section displayed. The 5 circles on the left show the 5 wins you can try and go for, and the 2 circles on the right are the 2 losses you can max out at. The gauntlet ends whether you reach 5 wins or 2 losses. However, you'll notice at 3, 4 and 5 wins, there's something inside the circle. The first of these is at 3 wins, and for the regular expert gauntlets, Phantom Draft and Constructed, for 3 wins you get a ticket. This means if you're averaging just over 50% wins, you can play expert modes forever, just using one of the 5 free tickets you get with the game. This is entirely possible. As we already know, the matchmaking searches for someone at the same number of wins as you first, and then looks for a decent match roughly based on your MMR, or matchmaking rating. So you'll go up against stronger players on occasion, but you should be able to hold that 3-win line and keep the going infinite dream alive. This is all well and good for people that only ever want to draft, or the occasional person that gets a good deck built from their 250 plus cards with the game, but how about those CCG players? If you demand all the cards for free, with the only thing spent being time, then don't fear. If you have time enough to actually get good at the game, then you can even turn Artifact into a CCG too. If you bring a good deck, or if you're a good player, you can infinitely play these expert modes. However, if you go above that, there are even more rewards to reap. At 4 wins, you get 1 ticket and 1 free card back, and at 5 wins, or what is known as a perfect run, you get 1 ticket, 2 free card backs, and your record for perfect runs goes up by 1. The latter has no monetary value, but depending on your vanity, it could be priceless. The packs, however, are how you can actually grind out an entire collection for free. The best players won't need to spend a penny after the initial purchase to unlock all of the cards, and that is how you can turn Artifact from a TCG or trading card game into a CCG or collectible card game. People might complain that you need at least 4 wins to get a pack out, and 3 wins to keep playing in expert modes, but all it requires is time spent in the game practicing and getting better to make it so that you can get these packs. And so, in a roundabout way, Artifact can be a CCG just like all the rest. You input time, and you get cards out. It just means you need an initial input of time for little reward to get better, before you can start churning out 2 packs for every 5 games. So you now have some packs farmed in Expert, and you've had fun playing free draft, but you want something a bit more competitive. And so we come to the tournament system. How have we got this far through a video about free stuff in Artifact without yet talking about the epicness that is free tournaments? I don't know, but we're here now. The tournament system Artifact lets you set up your own competitions, inviting your friends or opening it to the public. Tournaments can hold up to 128 players and let you choose from draft or constructed. And what's more, you can home in on that further by choosing to only allow commons or commons and uncommons. You can even force the tournament into mono decks or 4-colour rainbow decks only. You can also set the tournament to use the current featured event decks, which at the moment is Call to Arms. With so many options for tournaments, as well as the advanced setups which allow you to effectively build a tournament out of mini tournaments, this is the ultimate competitive package, and it is entirely free. Of course, there are plenty of less competitive and simply fun options out there. Gather your friends and sit down to see who will win the Rainbow Deck tournament, or play a 3-phase tournament where you must try and win once with a common deck, once with commons and uncommons, and finally one without restrictions. The sky is your limit with this, and I'm looking forward to see the competitive and creative side of these tournaments. Not to mention, I'll be jumping into some tournament creation myself. When the game is launched, we'll be having a little launch party that day over on our Discord with plenty of fun tournaments, so come and join us. The link for the Discord is in the description. So what happens when you're all out of tickets and you've got no friends online to play tournaments with? Is that when you're forced to go back to casual play? Well, not with the option to trade in your useless commons for tickets. Or if you've been grinding expert draft to just try and get that one constructed deck you really wanted, don't worry because this isn't a CCG. It doesn't mean there is no other way to obtain packs outside of simply buying them. You've just joined a TCG. Not only that, but one ran by Valve. That means that buying and selling, effectively trading, cards via the Steam marketplace is one way to build your decks. Sell off your rares that you get from expert draft that you don't want, and buy that last hero, or important spell to finish your constructed deck off. All of this can be done without spending any additional money. With commons being traded in for tickets, this is now effectively guaranteed that all cards will be worth something at least. So selling duplicates to build towards your constructed tournament deck is definitely viable if you don't want to turn your own commons into tickets. Also, the vice versa works. If you're only interested in draft and don't care about constructed, then trade in your rarer cards for more commons to get more tickets. Before I close up the video, let me ask you guys a question. How many of you have spent hundreds of hours on the same game? Okay, now how many of you plan to do the same with this one? I already have hundreds logged into Artifact, and thousands in games such as Dota 2. So for hundreds, if not thousands of hours of entertainment, isn't it perfectly fine to spend some money on the game? I don't know why, but somewhere along the way, online gamers decided they were way too important to be spending money on their hobby, even though that is literally what every other hobby in existence requires. It is actually a little bit insane. Some of you will play this game for a very long time, so why the hell wouldn't you spend a little bit of money on it here and there? You aren't giving in to the man if you buy a pack or some tickets. You're supporting the team that made this fantastic game for us. So if you can afford it, stop whining about needing tickets to play expert, and show the devs some love. $2 really isn't an awful lot of money for a pack now, is it? And with that rant aside, that just about covers what I wanted to share about playing Artifact for free. As always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the content, feel free to like and subscribe as it really helps the channel out. I've been Divok of the Artificers Guild, and I'll see you next time.